Let's talk Pitbulls this morning, this afternoon, good evening. For whenever you are listening to this video, whatever you're listening to this video today, we're going to talk about a topic that you might not be able to understand it 100% if you are too young. But this video is made for those guys that remember those dogs, the Pitbulls of the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. And they start looking around and they say, where are those dogs? What happened to those dogs? What happened to the people that used to breed these dogs? And whenever they see a dog that resembles those dogs, they see them in the hands of some guy that is like, good people used to own these dogs. And now it became the dog of the thug, the dog of the low life, the dog of the criminal. What happened to the dogs? And another question that we are answering in this video is, where these dogs came from? These XL Bully, these Merrill dogs, these dogs that look so weird, 180-pound Pitbull. I never heard of it. Where did they came from? What happened to those dogs that used to be athletic, they used to be loving, they used to be daring, they used to inspire us to be more? What happened to the real American Pitbull Terrier, or at least to those dogs that were close to the American Pitbull Terrier somehow, some way? And what happened to the men that were famous and legendary breeding the dogs? And many of them didn't call themselves kennels. What happened to the real American Pitbull Terrier? That's what we're going to talk about today. And I tell you, I get these in between conversations. People call me and say, man, I'm 60 years old, I'm 50 years old, and I was looking for a dog like the one I used to have and I can't find them. Or I get someone that says, Chico, the first gift I ever gave my wife was some level pit bull. Sometimes I didn't know that they were not really high quality pit bulls, but listening to your story, they were like the first dog you ever had, Bruno Boy. They were not bad dogs, they were good dogs. They were not the best, but they were good dogs. And now I'm older, now I own my own company, now that I'm retired, I want to have a dog from you. You really preserve the dogs. So let's talk a little bit about that. Folks, I believe that some of us might be at fault. I don't think that I am at fault because I'm educating, and I don't think I'm at fault because I preserve and I develop the dogs that I have, which are the real American Pitbull Terrier, the best representation of the American Pitbull Terrier ever. By the numbers, you can always compare it, so if you don't take my word, I don't want you to take my word. I want you to compare it and take a look at what I have done. But let's talk about these dogs and what happened to them. And why do I feel that a lot of these old timers are responsible for allowing this to happen. And sometimes I get upset, sometimes about myself, sometimes with my wife, and we talk about the topic, how they allow these dogs in the 1990s prevail. And I look back at a magazine that is supposed to be an only purebred American Pitbull Terriers, registered American Pitbull Terriers. And when I was young, back in 1990, maybe 92, 93, for the first time I ever saw these magazines, they had a whole bunch of old magazines. This guy got them from somebody, his name is Ralph Reyes from the Bronx, New York, and he handed over these magazines. We're not Sporting Dog Journal, by the way. Hand over these magazines, and I'm looking at these dogs, and I'm looking at the advertising, and I look at the dogs. Some of them look so different. Remember, back in those days, I didn't have the knowledge that I have now, or the understanding. It's still where my formative years, where ideas were being formed in my head about the breed, and so I was fresh, and I had a dog, but I wanted to have more because I'm always competitive. I want to have more, better, and I went through this process for many years. And so when I look at the magazine, I look at these dogs that were too slim. They look like greyhounds. But I also look at this advertisement of these dogs with big heads. And they have this kennel called Beauty and the Beast and the Land of the Giants. The name of it, the Land of the Giants. American Pitbull Terriers were never giants. They were never bred or picked up by being giants. As a matter of fact, you could be a very small dog and be better than all the bigger dogs, only because the quality you have as a dog, your heart, your genetics, your where you come from, your capacity to production, your capacity to produce great dogs is really what matters the most. And who owned you or who bred you matters. All those things matter together. Your pedigree matters when it comes from a great man. And so I was like, you know, let me take a look at this magazine. And started going, and I saw these dogs with big heads. And there was one particular dog. The guy had a measuring tape, and he was measuring the size of the neck or the size of the head, I think it was, and it was 140 inches or something, like something huge. And I thought that was like maybe the latest best thing, you know. And I remember going to a feed store and looking at these collars with the spikes, and I wasn't like too fond of it, but I guess that's what everybody had, and I was young. And I was blessed, really. This man, I owe it to him, and I have to say the truth. I owe it to Ralph Reyes. He came and he said, these are mutts. These are not real pit bulls. So what he means is the deformation is a new trend. And so this guy wanted to sell those dogs for $2,000 at the time. I'm talking about 1992, and they were $2,000 for the dogs. And I was looking at them and I was like, whoa, really? So yeah, and we started talking about, maybe this would have been in 1990, talking about the heart of the dogs and so on and so forth. And I was like, wow, so those are not real American Pit Bull Terriers. I guess he told me, and I was in my path to become someone that was going to be very important for the breed. So I was not fully developed. But that voice, that message from Ralph Reyes was supposed to be on a horn, telling all the young guys from my generation of the 1990s and 1980s that there was a new movement of fake dogs coming around the world. Yet in a magazine that was supposed to be about American Pit Bull Terriers, you have featured fake pit bulls. You have featured fake American pit bulls, dogs that were like prostitutes using the last name of Elon Musk. They don't belong to him, they're not with him, they're not married to him, they're just using his name. And I gotta tell you this, when you look at this thing right here, you start thinking, why? Because of profits. Because people can pay for advertisement. And it's always because of profits. Because of profits, a guy the other day sent me a message and says, my dog that is Merle, and I know he's not a real pit bull, it was called a purebred, 100% American Pit Bull Terrier by a company that does DNA testing online. A very famous company. Very respectable company. Supposed to be trustworthy. And you as a client, you trust this type of things. And it's because of profits. That company, the parent of the company, contacted me. And they could have had the DNA of gray dogs. They actually wanted to do with me, but you know, we didn't agree in certain. I wasn't charging anything, by the way. It was free. I wanted to help the breed, but these guys needed to have dogs that will make everybody happy. Because if you take my dogs and you DNA them and you DNA everybody else's dogs against my dogs, their dogs are fake. So all the owners are upset and all the breeders are upset. But if you take the dogs from some breeders that got bullies and mutts and a whole bunch of dogs and you call them pit bulls, then you want to have a lot of people happy, and then you can charge them more money. So because of profits. And because of profits, those dogs that were fake back in the early 1990s became very popular. And because of profits, a lot of breeders that were in the breed only because they wanted to make money, they dropped the American Pit Bull Terrier and they went with those dogs. And because of weak minds, people didn't stick to the dogs. I could have been one of those guys back in 2000, only for profits, getting to the micros, getting to the bullies. But I was not in the American Pit Bull Terrier because of profits. I was in the American Pit Bull Terrier because of admiration, because I admire these dogs, because I love these dogs, because these dogs are everything for me. And so I want you to know what happened to those dogs. Those dogs were eaten by profits, were destroyed by the silence of men of the era of when I started and before I started. Those old timers that sometimes people want to give them all this credit, they did not do what I do here. They stood quiet. They didn't say nothing. They were harsh about everything. They didn't speak loud enough. Their voice was not influential. Yes, they are influential when they talk BS about how these dogs do this and whatever, and I got some puppies for sale. But they didn't defend the breed. They were not breed defenders like me, and they were not great ambassadors of the breed like I do. You know, going to a dog show and signing some breaking sticks and taking some pictures with the thugs that come and show dogs to hang around, because the dog shows became a reunion of thugs and the reunion of judges who are judging dog shows, and they exchange favors. Like, let's say 5 judges, I already went to all their shows. They gave prizes and ribbons to my dogs. Now when they come to my dog show and I'm judging, I owe them favors. That's how it works. It's a mafia. It is terrible for the show guy. But the reunions are very small. They're just very small people, very small groups. I'm not speaking about a particular registry or a particular dog. It's general. This is in general. There's many of them new ones coming up now. So don't be like, hey, I don't like this registry. No, all of you do the same thing. All of you do the same thing. And I try to help. But people don't like a guy like me that wants to help. They sometimes afraid that I want to take over. And I don't want to take over. Don't want to take over. I got what I want, which are my dogs. And so I want to tell you this. When Netflix showed this dog, the giant Pitbull, if they wouldn't make the same show and they will not call them the giant Pitbull, they call him just a giant dog that is funny, that is this, whatever, the show would not be a success whatsoever. But by adding the name Pitbull to it, they created something. Hey, by adding the name Pitbull, they added something that give a name to the show and made it nice, and people want to see it because people love the name Pitbull. And the word Pitbull has lost value. It has lost tremendous value. It used to be the dog of the strong man. It used to be the dog of the alpha male. Today, the word Pitbull is the dog of the criminal, the dog of the drug dealer, the dog of the guy that's looking to do crime, the dog of the inner city, one of those cities where people are trying to do bad things. And then he became the dog of the weak, because they bred him so much, the dogs end up being in shelters. And then you have these guys that want to rescue the roaches and want to rescue the ants and want to rescue all this stuff. They rescue those dogs as well. And then the streets and whatever, and they call them pit bulls, but they're not real pit bulls. But they all tag themselves to the name Pitbull. They keep tagging themselves. They keep attaching themselves. Imagine that every watch in the world all of a sudden call themselves Rolex or Felipe Tech. It'll be a lie. They'll diminish the value of the Rolex brand. If every Honda and every whatever car, Ford, Focus, call himself a Ferrari, the price of the brand, the value of the brand, the perception of the brand Ferrari, being this fast car, beautiful car, will go down. And those people stole the light of the American Pitbull Terrier. And the American Pit Bully, which was not American Bully for a long time, and it was a fake Pitbull for a long time, he stole the spark of people, curiosity of new guys wanting to be with the American Pitbull Terrier. And the American Pitbull Terrier is superior to all those dogs. The American Pitbull Terrier, the real dog. I'm talking about my dog. I'm not talking a dog that you know as an American Pitbull Terrier. I'm not talking about the dog that you have in your mind. I'm talking the dogs that I breed. The legendary dogs, the awesome bugs, the Sugar de Greys, the Ratos from Bushes. Those dogs that you need to study so you can understand this conversation. But for those guys that got old dogs, and your dog is old, and you need a companion, and you're afraid that the dog is going to pass away, don't replace that dog with a Merrill dog and an XL and a dog from the shelter, a rejected dog, a failed project. Get a dog from Chico Lopez. I don't know if you qualify. I don't know if I want to sell you a dog. I don't know if you can afford one. But I can tell you that I breed a dog that'll be the best dog you ever owned. Best dog you ever owned. I breed that dog. I actually breed the best dog you ever owned. You never had a dog like mine. I promise you that. I breed legends. Great dogs. Super dogs. Over and over and over. I have an eye for dogs that nobody else has. I wish I could pass it on like I'm passing this knowledge, so you can just grab it and have it as a benefit. Unfortunately, the eye, I cannot pass it on to everybody. But having the eye is important. And you might think, what's this eye about? And I'm going to take advantage of this and give you an explanation what the eye is. Let me give you an example about a horse. If you don't know this, if you don't have this type of education, you need to study. Thoroughbred horse, race horse, secretariat, the best ever. They call them the Triple Crowns. They win 3 races in a certain time, back to back, Triple Crown. Horse of horses. Not your donkey, not your plow horse, not your farming horse, not the horse of your cousin, not the horse that you love and remember when you were a kid, but a super horse. And on that league of super horses and very wealthy men, because they go from rich into wealthy. Wealthy is millions and billions and billions. A multimillionaire cannot afford to have a racing horse stable. They cannot afford it. You really need to be a super rich man to be on those leagues. This Arabic man, this wealthy man, Said, he loved the horses. They have passion for those horses. Kentucky, Dubai, Saudi Arabia. And these men, they know a lot about horses. They know a lot about breeding, genetics, pedigrees, history. They know everything. Everything that is to be known. Yet, when it's time to buy a new horse, they have people around them that support them to make the right decisions, to gauge, to go by a feeling. Sometimes words can express, but they say, that's the horse, I got a feeling. I don't know, that's the horse. There was this man that used to work in Wall Street. And this man in Wall Street, he was an ace picking up stocks that will perform well. He had the power of mathematics and numbers and that. You know, he looked at the stuff and said, this is a stock and he's going to win. And he was really good at it. They didn't like him anymore there because he was really great. So he started going to race horses. His mind was a beautiful mind. He had a beautiful mind. So he went to see race horses. And he'll pick up the right horse. He'll walk on the stables. Then they'll go to the race. And he'll bet on the right horse. They didn't want him there anymore because he only wins. So they said, we don't want this man here. But this guy, Said, this billionaire, got a hold of him to come and hire him to walk around when they do these auctions. And he brings horses, somebody else brings horses, and they kind of like, I buy this horse, you buy that horse, I sell this horse, and they go through this auction process. So Said took some horses to sell that somebody might like them. And he was looking for horses that he can bring to become champions of somehow, maybe never dream with a Triple Crown because it's something difficult. America was in a drought of race horses. And so at this particular point, he's like, you know, we hired this super crazy, beautiful mind type of guy so he can walk the floor and give us an idea. So the day's kind of over, things coming wrapping around already. And he goes and says, what do you find? He said, to be honest with you, on this floor here, there's nothing for you. The one horse that I was really, really impressed about, it was actually the horse you sold. And my advice to you is for you to grab that horse back and hold on to it. So what horse? He said, that horse right there. American Pharaoh. He said, no, that horse is like too short. He's not long enough, and he's pedigree. He says, out of 100 dogs, out of 100 horses, he's 93 percentile when it comes in order of the pedigree. There are other horses, the pedigree of 97, 98 percentile. But this horse is 99 percentile on the left ventricle of his heart. Right here, the heart has a side of it where it pumps. And that is bigger than the average horse. And because of that particular function, you need to pick that horse. He trusted this man. And he understood this man. Although he had money, although he knew about horses, that man had the eye for the horse. And he bought the horse back. The story, you can search it. American Pharaoh. Triple Crown, super horse. He almost lost it. God gives an eye to certain men, a gift to certain people. And because he gave me a gift for dogs, I applied this eye. That's how I picked up Bruno Boy. In a litter of mutts in the Bronx. The dog made it to the cover of 2 magazines in books. Super dog, the legend of the Bronx. That's how I picked up Awesome Buck. And that's how I pick up my dogs. And that's how I create clusters over clusters on my litters. By having an eye somebody else don't have. They do all these calculations, these whatever, I like these. They don't. I have an eye they don't have. And my obligation to me, to myself, is to help you understand all these different metrics within the American Pitbull Terrier. You guys that are older, that are 50 years old, that are 60 years old, this video is for you. Let's save the American Pitbull Terrier. Not because I'm going to allow you to breed my dogs. No, I'm not going to allow you to breed my dogs. I'm going to allow you to be ambassadors and have some of my dogs if you qualify. And show the world what the American Pitbull Terrier really is. We need to show the world what the American Pitbull Terrier is. And for the young guys that are coming in, you are so blessed. You're having this conversation of Chico Lopez with old men like me. So let's make the American Pitbull Terrier great again by having great ambassadors and great dog owners that will give a sample of what the American Pitbull Terrier is. As far as who can breed them, very difficult topic. Very difficult. I believe that breeding is the area where everybody fails. I go from one country to another country, and my expectations 10, 20 years ago in that country, when I look at some very enthusiastic men with money buying dogs, is that they were going to do something. But I see them successful in 1 season, 2 seasons, and they fail. They run out of gas, they run out of money, they run out of ideas, and they don't have an eye for a dog. And that's why Americans, the thugs, when they call me, they say, "What bloodline you are running? What bloodline you're running?" And the Americans, they say, "What bloodline you're running?" Because they run one bloodline, another bloodline, another bloodline, and they keep changing. Because they burn them like cigarettes. They never get the one dog that is like really amazing. They never get their Awesome Buck, their Sugar the Great. They never get their Macarones puppy like the one I sold to Mexico City. They never get that. They never get their King David. They never get their Ernie from Queens, New York. They never get that. They always got mutts. Folks, my name is Chico Lopez. By now it's evident that I really love the American Pitbull Terrier. I'm here to give a message to all of you that truly love the American Pitbull Terrier. You guys are not thugs. If you are, quit it. Quit it. Stop being a thug. Stop being a scumbag. And work for the American Pitbull Terrier. Great dog. The best American dog ever. That's all I gotta say for now. I gotta go. I want to give you this message, and I hope it does add value to you. I'm sorry if I don't have ice cream to give away. I'm sorry if I don't have candy to give you and pamper you and not trigger you and treat you with roses. I'm sorry if I'm a hard man. That's the man I was raised to be. I come from a different time. From the time men were proud of their gender, like mine's. They didn't want to change it. We come from a different time, from real men. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the American Pitbull Terrier. You have a good one. Drop a comment below. Let me know if you watched the video till the end. Let me know if you like this content. Let me know if you want to have these conversations. I want you all guys to participate on this. And for all the guys that have hate and don't know me, before you open your mouth, find out who Chico Lopez is. Just because you're limited knowledge and experience on dogs do not ring a bell. That's not my fault that you're limited. And if your heart is contaminated and you repeat poor, fake information like a parakeet, shame on you for being so weak. Because a strong man love and respect other strong men. I am a leader. I am the ambassador of the American Pitbull Terrier. My name is Chico Lopez. 123pitbulls.com. And I'm sorry again, I didn't bring ice cream or candy for you. God bless you.